folks, Shannon Heaton here to talk about rolls. So whether you favor highly ornate Irish flute playing or more straightforward, simpler flute playing, it can be really great to have a handle on how to do these rolls, these Irish ornaments called rolls. These are not turns if you're coming from other styles of music. These are really not really ornaments in a way. They're more just functional rhythmic events. So I'm going to show you how I do my rolls, and then I'm going to show you how they show up in different tunes. So we're going to take a very simple, clean, clear approach to Irish ornamentation regarding rolls. Let's get busy. Okay, so there are a few different fingerings for rolls. I'm going to show you the ones that I prefer. I prefer a very streamlined technique. Before I show you my rolls, I'll tell you that if you've learned another way and you really feel like you've got a handle on that way, fine, stick with that way, especially if you love the way that it sounds and feels. I'd say just be consistent within your own playing. Also, just know that a roll is a series of 3 even eighth notes. It's basically even eighth notes. It's a rhythmic event. It's a rhythmic event. It's not really this decorative flourish. It's not a turn. It is a rhythmic event with 3, taking up the space of 3 eighth notes. So a dotted quarter note is the equivalent of 3 eighth notes. In a roll, that's the note, the fundamental note, the cut or the vent of the note above, and then the tap of the note below. The equivalent of 3 even eighth notes. E, cut, tap. I like to lift the G finger. For my F sharp, again, F sharp, cut, tap. Again, I'm lifting with that G finger. F sharp, cut, tap. And then for my G, G, cut, tap. G, cut, tap. So I'm lifting with that G finger for my E, my F sharp, and my G rolls. They sound like this. Not, but. With my A and B rolls, I like to vent with the B finger. So A, cut, tap. A, cut or vent with the B finger, tap. And then B, cut, tap. Okay? So now that we've got the mechanics of the rolls, let's try them in the context of tunes. Dotted quarter note in a jig equals long roll opportunity. If we tried our E roll, E, cut, tap, in the context of a jig like Morrison's jig, it would come across like this. Or if we wanted to also roll the B for practice there. So here's the whole A part of Morrison's jig with those long rolls. What about the F sharp roll? Let's try the rose and the heather. F sharp, then da do 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 do. Or if we want, we could also roll that E. So here's the A part of the rose and the heather with those rolls. 1, 2. Okay, now we're getting to the G, right? G, cut, tap. Let's try The Haunted House by Vincent Broderick. Great. Now let's try The Haunted House by Vincent Broderick in the key of A, so we can practice our A roll. And then we've got our B roll again. We tried that in Morrison's, or we could also try. Could have the high part of the road that has an F sharp roll in it too. So what if you find a long roll followed by another note of that same note? Like for example, the Kesh jig, we have a long G roll and then there's another G. Well, we just roll the G, G, cut, tap, G, and then we cut the G, the second G. G, cut, tap, cut the G, A, B. And then there's that nice A roll followed by A cut. So 1, 2. The third phrase in the Kesh jig is the same as the first, but instead of rolling, I breathed. Breathe. So whenever you have a roll, you can always play note, breathe, note instead of doing the roll. Okay, so those are long rolls in jigs. So what about rolls in reels? If a long roll is the equivalent of a dotted quarter note, it's always going to fall on the downbeat of a jig. But in a reel, you might have a downbeat roll, or the roll might start on an upbeat. For example, in the Providence reel, da da la dee doo 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 doo, that starts right on the downbeat. 1, 2. Versus the Ash Plant. 1, 2. The roll starts on the upbeat. So it's the exact same mechanics. The only difference is once you start to really pay attention to playing with rhythmic lift, using your air to kind of pulse the upbeats. Well, if the downbeat roll happens, then the rhythmic pulsing is going to be on the hit. Versus in the Ash Plant, when the E roll starts on the upbeat, the rhythmic pulsing is going to happen on the cut. 1, 2. On that G cut. Let's try this again with the F sharp. With the Wise Maid, if we were to play the Wise Maid, where the F sharp roll happens on the downbeat. 1, 2. Ooh, that was a little wild. Here we go again. So, da da la dee doo doo dum, da da la dee doo doo dum. Kind of pulsing where I do the hit. Versus the Sunny Banks. Da da la da dum da da dee dee da da. You can hear I do the breath pulse on the cut. Da da la da dum. So if breath pulsing, if playing with rhythmic lift is adding a layer of complexity and you just want to get the mechanics of these rolls, that's okay. Learn the mechanics and then go back and try to integrate the mechanics along with that breath pulsing. So on to the G roll, on a downbeat G roll versus an upbeat G roll. In Far From Home, the second G happens on a downbeat. Yep. Da 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 do do la da dum. You do 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 la dee dum. So that whole first phrase. Versus Kitty Gone a Milkin'. That G happens on an upbeat. 1, 2. All right, so G, D, G, roll, da, dum, da, da, G, roll, da, 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 dum. Okay, let's do the same for A rolls. So the Abbey reel. Okay, so I played a cut, tap, A roll, dum, dee, dum, da, da, dee, da, dee, dee, dum. So that second A, I played a short roll. We're not going to talk about those today. Just A, cut, tap, and that's where I put my breath pulse. Versus the Bells of Tipperary. I put my breath pulse on the cut. Okay, let's go on to a B roll. So a B roll in that wonderful tune that I used to call Tommy People's Reel and is also known as The Lonesome Bachelor. B cut tap dee dee da da B cut tap. Again, the tap is where I put my breath pulse. But the mechanics the same if we have a tune where there's an upbeat B roll, like Toss the Feathers E minor version. Do la da dee la da. Okay, that's a lot to digest. Hope you can get something out of that, and let me know what you think. And thanks for tuning in to this installment of